Hello, everybody. It's Derek back with High Five Resale Shop. Uh, I got another how-to video today. Today, I was gonna show everybody how to list pants, jeans, and slacks. Some people call them slacks on eBay. So I'm gonna try and start with the beginning part of it, which would be sourcing your items. So what are we sourcing? So first of all, you got to kind of understand which brands are selling and which brands aren't selling, which have very saturated markets and which don't. So I have a list of brands that I like, and I'm going to go through them, and then I'll tell you which brands I wouldn't pick up, kind of deal. So also in that, there's different sizes. So there are some sizes that are more desirable than other sizes. So when you're looking at pants, jeans, and everything, you're going to want, and this kind of goes across the board for all of clothing, but you're going to want to get mediums, larges, and extra larges. Those are going to be your best selling parts. The smalls and the extra smalls are really hard to sell. Yes, there were plenty of women who are extra small and small, but a lot of those clothes are being bought by people that don't have a lot of discretionary income. So it's not like they're just consuming a lot of stuff. So they're harder to move, as one might say. And then extra large, when you get bigger than extra large, 2X and 3X, sometimes they're harder to move as well. Just because the market, there's a lot less people who are those sizes. So I try to stay in between medium, large, and extra large. But if a pair of pants it looks really good, it's got a name brand that I trust, and it's 25 cents, I'm going to grab it anyway. So it all depends on the cost of the item and what you're willing to pay for it as to how much you should pay per brand for items. So when I go to a garage sale or a thrift store or a estate sale, I'm looking for specific brands, and I tend to see the same ones at the estate sales, but like garage sales, it could be anything. So I like to sell Chico's, J. Jill, Ann Taylor Loft, and sometimes Loft Outlet. Buckle for jeans, they're really good. Coldwater Creek, always Levi's, as long as they're in good condition. Seven for jeans is really good. Seven for All Mankind is a brand that's really good. Lacoste, there's a lot of fakes out there with Lacoste, so you got to be careful. American Eagle still sells pretty well for me. True Religion, it kind of has fallen off in the amount that people want it, but it's still desirable to some. Calvin Klein jeans is one of those brands. Calvin Klein in general is one of those brands that is like a mainstay, like Ralph Lauren and Tommy Hilfiger. Guess is another brand like that people are always looking for. I will pick up Buffalo by David Britton and Not Your Daughter's Jeans. So Ariat is another brand that I see a lot around here because we got a lot of cowboy farmers and stuff like that around here. It's like country. Banana Republic, Democracy, Mavi Jeans, Ralph Lauren, Tommy Hilfiger, Abercrombie and Fitch, and Hollister. And then sometimes when the price is right, I might pick up Old Navy, Gap, Lee, Wrangler, H&M, Express, but they are harder to move. All those brands are really hard to move. And I would stay clear from any Walmart brands or Target brands. So when I go shopping at Walmart for groceries or whatever, every once in a while I'll take a stroll around the clothing area just to familiarize myself with the brands from Walmart. And then likewise, I kind of already know the brands from Target. I just see them in these pallet sale groups so much that I know what to target. So stay away from those brands. There are other brands that you'll hear on people's YouTube channels, like Folson and really high-end brands and stuff like that. Some don't pertain to women's pants or whatever, but like Lily Pulitzer and stuff like that, I just don't find that often. So if I see it, I grab it. But I kind of know what's in my area, and I get a lot of like Chico's and J. Jill. Now, you also have to be considerate and consider what's in your area in terms of places for people to shop at. So I don't see a lot of, let's just say, Lacoste, because there's not a Lacoste store around here. The only way to get it is buying it directly online, which is obviously a possibility. But I do see a lot of Chico stuff and a lot of J. Jill stuff because at our mall, they have those stores still. I used to see a lot of White House Black Market stuff, but not so much because that store left the mall. And then you have to be considerate of what outlet malls are around and what stores are in those, because they're going to have outlet malls price stuff there. And if you know anything about outlet malls, they do overstock at those from the specific stores that is that brand. But most of the time they have specially made items that are lesser quality than the original brand. So like a Banana Republic store may send some of their stuff corporately to an outlet store, but most of the time the outlet store has its own merchandise, which is lesser quality than the Banana Republic store would have. So how do you tell that? Well, in a lot of these stores, like Banana Republic and Gap, they have these tags and they have 3 dots underneath it, and those 3 dots signify that it's something that was specifically made for the outlet store. So it's going to be a lesser quality. So somebody who's interested in Banana Republic pants is not necessarily interested in Banana Republic outlet pants. So they know about the dots and everything, and so they would pass on your item because it has the 3 dots on the tag. So you want to be aware of that. That's just knowledge that not a lot of people have. The same with Ann Taylor outlet. It's just lesser quality items. So it is what it is. Let's see. The next part would be photos. So you got to take photos of your pants. I'd say 90% of the people on eBay flat lay their stuff. They take a picture of the front. They take a picture of the back. They usually have like a yardstick. I know Tekken Sports has the reseller ruler, which is 2 yardsticks, one going up, one going across. And so he just lays it down on the piece and it measures, does both the measurements at the same time. The Nurse Flipper, I think, she talked about having an app that one of the photos would go into, and the photo would measure the pants or the shirt or whatever, and then give you an image, and then you upload that image. I have never done that. So, but a lot of people take their photos flat lay. So that's when they would do the photo of the measurements. So then they don't have to put the measurements in the listing because their measurements are in the photos. It works. So I would take front and back, any special areas of the pants, special features of the pants that that you would per se have. Like if it was distressed, I would take pictures of the distressed parts a little bit closer than, you know, the whole pants. And then the other thing I would take a picture of is the tag. And then a lot of people take a picture of their number that they're using in one of the pictures so that they can tag and put away the items in their inventory system. So that's that. So you taking care of what you're sourcing, and then the photos, you've taken the photos. I personally have mannequins. I like the way they lay on the mannequins. I have this infrastructure already made. I've figured out how to take pictures, and I think it takes me I can take 3 item pictures, like a minute a piece on taking pictures for each item that I do. It takes about a minute to take all the pictures that I need, and then I upload them all at one time, and then I import them into my computer while I'm doing the listing. I do all my photos on my phone. I used to have a camera dedicated to doing that. I have moved away from those cameras. They're actually in my death pile of things to be listed for sale. I probably should put them up. But I don't do that anymore. The phone cameras have gotten so good that you really don't need to do that. So that's that. So you've taken found the item, you've taken the photos of the item, and now you need to make the listing. So I understand that there are ways to show my screen on my phone, but I haven't figured that out yet. I'm old and I have trouble with technology, but I did look into it when somebody put it in my comments of the last how-to video, but I still haven't figured it out. I'm looking to get a new computer system, and I should be able to do it then, but I'm going to do it the old-fashioned way like I was doing it before, and hopefully you can all go along with me on this. So I'm going to turn this around onto my computer screen here. All right. So there you got my last listing. So I always go to create a similar listing. Obviously you can't do that when you start your first listing, but that's what we're going to do here. And I'm going to pause this for 1 second. Okay, so we're just going to start from the top and we're going to go down. I know that some of you guys might be doing it on your phone. It's slightly different on your phone. I don't like doing stuff on my phone. My fingers are fat and I kind of screw up everything I do on my phone. So I just like to do it on my desktop, sit, listen to my music, and put up listings. So this is the way I prefer to do it. If you're going to do it on your phone and this is not helping you, then maybe just listen to some of the tips and tricks and then find a YouTube video on listing it on your phone. So let's just say we uploaded our photos already. We got a front, we got a crotch picture, we got like a left picture, we got a back, we got another close-up back shot, just another angle of the back of the pants, then a right, and then the tag. And I try to get the tag. It's got the size in there. Sometimes I do the stuff with the material on it, but a lot of times it's really hard to get pictures of some of these things. So then you got the title. You got to come up with the title, and the title is very important, right? So what do we want to put in our title? The first thing we want to do is we want to try and make the title how the person is going to search the item, because it's going to do most like search. So if somebody puts in Nicole Miller Brown dress pants, there it's going to look for Nicole Miller Brown dress pants. I have flat front in there. This flat front should probably be somewhere near the back, but this is just how this one is put up. So I do brand, color, a pattern if it is a pattern, and then like long sleeve, short sleeve, size, and special features. So we have the size here, size 10, medium. So I have found if it does have a size number, I always try and do the corresponding size in words. So an 8 to 10 is a medium. So I have a card over to the left of my computer that has extra small 0 to 2, small 4 to 6, medium 8 to 10, large 12 to 14, extra large 16 to 18, XXL 20 to 22, 3XL 24 to 26. So I don't need to keep that in my head. I need to just glance over really quick, look at it, get it right instead of getting it wrong. And then I have the waist measurement. That's actually the waist that I measured on the pant. 32 by 31 inseam. So I put that in the title because people are looking for the measurements and they don't really know where to go find them. So they find them right here in the title. So that's my title. I've never used a subtitle. I'm not paying $2 for that. I don't know who does that. And then my custom label SKU, so 382. So I look to find what number I'm at, and I put a number in there. So the next one I would do with 383. We're going to scroll down. Then you have your item category that you're working in. I'm working in pants because it was a dress pant. And you could change that to jeans. And if you're doing vintage clothing, make sure you're in the vintage section. The next thing is my categories for my store. So this particular one, Nicole Miller, does not have a category in my store. So I just do women's clothing, a general category. If it were Abercrombie & Fitch, I would go in here to the second option. I would put a second option of Abercrombie & Fitch. But that is not necessary today. Variations, really never use variations on this stuff. It's just very convoluted to me, so I never really use it. Although there are certain specific times when it's great to use variations. Okay, so you got the brand name Nicole Miller. Now, with these drop-down menus, you want to use the name that's suggested here. If it doesn't come up, then obviously you have to put in your own name. But if it is a known selling company, it should be in here, and you gotta try and find it. So if there's a period in there, try and find it with the period, because it's gonna be alphabetized accordingly. Then you have size type. And that's obviously going to be regular, plus size, petites, tall, or juniors. And I don't really find a lot of, there's maternity down here as well. So maternity all the way here at the bottom. But most of my stuff is regular. Sometimes it's plus size. A fair amount of petite stuff. But I don't get a lot of tall stuff, that's for sure. So you change that to accordingly, right? And then you change your size, small, medium, large, or the number size that it may have on the tag. The next is the style. So these are dress pants, but you can change it to any number of things in here. What I suggest, if you don't know what like a paper bag pant is, all you do is you go over, open up another tab, go to Google and put in paper bag pants or slacks and see what it looks like in the pictures. And then you will have an idea of what it is. So There you go. So then you do the color, and I would stick to the colors that are here. And why do I do that? It's because the left-hand navigation is connected to these item specifics. So if you say that's not brown, that is khaki. Khaki's not in that list. So it's not going to register on the left-hand navigation except with the other color, the color other. If you move away from the actual suggested things here, then you run the risk of missing your customer because they're not going to be able to find you in left-hand navigation. And then the last one is department, and it's women's, so we just leave it in women's. I don't really bother with teens and unisex adults. Mostly women are the ones who have the disposable income. Teens don't have money to spend, so nobody's really looking in the teens category. All right. That's for the most part. I know I'm generalizing, but we're just trying to make money here, right? So then you have a UPC, which never really comes into play. You have the type, which is pants. I don't know if there's anything else in there. There's just the one category. And then you have material type. I like to put the entire amount there. I don't think people are really looking in this section that much. I wish they would adjust it, but they have never done anything to adjust it. Because you can only put like one of these fabrics in there, which if it's cashmere, I will just hit cashmere because people are going to be searching for that. Linen, if it's linen, I try to put it in the title up in the top. Also with cashmere, I'll try and put that in the title so people who are searching for it can search for it. But I just put what's on the tag in there, and I know that's not going to hook up with these searches over here. 305,000 searches on the material, but I'm okay with that. I know that people are looking for things like just cotton nowadays and linen based stuff, but I just want to put everything that's in that garment up there. Because there are some people that are buying just cotton garments now to stay away from these plastic made garments. The next one is the leg style. So is it straight leg, boot cut, flared, skinny, straight, tapered, wide leg? If you don't know what a boot cut is on a pant, it'll just barely flare out from the knee. But a flared leg is more like a bell bottom type of thing. And then a wide leg is just straight down, super wide. Other than that, straight down the pant without any curve in it or kink at the knee going out to the hem would be considered a straight leg. So, and obviously tapered goes the other direction. It tapers in towards the ankle. Fabric type, I really don't use this that much. There was one in here, like denim. If it was a denim blue jean, I'd just put denim in there. Sometimes I might use flannel. Fleece. If I knew it was a fleece item, like a fleece jacket or something like that. But I don't use a lot of these that much. I might use velour. So don't use this. I don't use this one that often. The next one is features. This is where I would put distressed or pockets, stretch. A lot of these pants come with a lot of stretch in them. Sometimes an ankle zipper, or it comes belted, or it's a convertible, which means it turns into shorts. If it's cropped, if it's cuffed, You don't have to mark all these. It can be tedious. You'll just find specific things that people are looking for, which filling in that might help a little bit. Then on this one, it allows you to pick several things. How is it closed? And this one actually closed with a zipper, a hook and eye, and a button. And so you want to put that in there. And a lot of times, like with a jean, it would just be a button and a zipper. What is the pattern on it? So it was a solid, but it's got other options on here, like animal print, argyle, camouflage, checks, Fair Isle, which I had to look up what that was. You might have to look that up and see what it is. Floral, geometric patterns, herringbone, paisley, plaid, polka dot, solid stripes, striped. They don't have houndstooth in here, so that I was always surprised with. But that fad has kind of gone through its phase already. It's got accents on it. Sometimes I do beaded or bowed, but for the most part, I don't use that. Theme I don't really use unless it's like holiday themed. I might put something in there for holiday. Occasion, I usually have, like, if it's like workwear, I'll do casual and business. And then I do the waist size again. I do the inseam again. And you can do these two measurements to the half inch. So it could be 32.5 or 33.5. Here's where you're going to mark if it's vintage or not. But you should also be in the vintage category if you're doing that. The fit. This fit one, I don't like to do this one. It can get you in trouble if you mess that up. You could have returned items, so I don't really do this one here. The rise, it tells you in inches what a mid-rise is, 8.5 to 10.5, and then all of these have the inches in there. So just measure the rise. The rise is from the seam in the crotch to the top of the waist hem, and so you can put that in there. The front type, flat front or pleated. Most of the modern stuff is flat front, and most of the vintage stuff is pleated. So, and then I have seasons in there, so all the seasons it's good for, and the country of origin. The model is interesting. Let's go back up here to the model. If you know the model, it might help you sell the item, but look, you have to know the model, and sometimes those tags aren't there anymore. So, like here, American Eagle, denim, jegging, hipster, sidekick, skinny kick. So you can do that. There are more here, but there's really nothing there that I would fill out. Handmade, personalized, no instructions. I'm not handmade. That should not be clicked. Oh, it isn't clicked. Okay, so handmade, personalized, personal instructions, never use it. Garment care, I'm not going that far into it, no. California prop doesn't come into my jurisdiction. Manufacturer's part number, don't have it. Unit quantity, unit type. None of these things need to be filled in. So that whole thing of show me more was useless. The next item that I do is pre-owned excellent. So when you do pre-owned clothing, you can do new without tags, new with imperfections. So you have to disclose the imperfection that's in there, but it still should have some kind of tag probably. Pre-owned excellent, pre-owned good, pre-owned fair. Excellent is an item that's been previously worn but in excellent condition. Should no signs of wear. If there is a sign of wear, it should be disclosed in the seller's listing. And this good one, sometimes I use, but most of the time it's excellent. I just don't pick up good and fair close. And that's how I stay with just one thing clicked 99% of the time. The next item is the description. And I have this custom template that I've already got drawn out here, and I just usually go up to the top, highlight the whole thing, Control C, go back down to the bottom, highlight this part, and Control V, and then it puts the new stuff in there. And then all I need to do is space it out a little bit. I might put some other words in there like solid brown. Put a space in here, flat front, dress pants, slacks, size medium, and then the measurements. And then I put actual measurements that I'm going to measure in here. Waist, top of the pant to the bottom of the pant, the full measurement. Hips, I measure the hips like 4 inches down from the top of the pant and fold it over and then measure it. So that's that. It's usually 3 or 4 inches bigger than this number up here. Sometimes 2, sometimes 3 inches bigger than that. The rise we said was from the crotch seam to the top of the pant, and the inseam, the crotch seam to the bottom of the hem on the leg. So that's the inseam here. So those are the measurements you need. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I do those right at that point is when I measure those items, because I can't really do the measurements because I don't flat lay them how other sellers do it when they're flat laying them. So that's where I do the measurements. And then if somebody has any questions, I refer them to this description area and they can see the descriptions. I really never used the AI thing up until this point. I just don't want to use it. I would rather do it myself at this point. The next thing is pricing. So you just have to figure out what the pricing on your thing would be by looking up a comp or two, seeing where it lands. Mine are usually a bit high because I always have a sale on, and I think very highly of myself in my store that my pictures, my descriptions, the items that I pick are just that much better than everybody else's, that I'm going to charge a premium. So this is not the number it's going to sell at, $29.99, but there is a sale almost always going on in my store for anywhere from 20 to 30%. And so this number is going to come down to like what, $24, $23. And then I get a lot of offers. So I got to be honest, I sell a lot of my pants for around between $17 and $22. And so with this price, it's going to come down to that area. And then people are going to ask for a couple of bucks off. It's exactly where I want to be. I never even look at this stuff over here except to laugh at what eBay thinks that you should sell your stuff for. Never have I ever listened to that. The only time that this ever catches my eye is when I'm listing some kind of sports memorabilia and I think I'm going to put it up for like $100 and it says over here like $350. And then I'm like, wait, let me do some more research. And occasionally I have upped my price, but that's the only time that would give me pause. So we always do buy it nows. That's my store. And then we do the item price, the cost. I am never putting this in there. eBay has no business knowing what I paid for my items. So that's going to be empty. The quantity is usually one. Sometimes I have multiple items. And then you have to fill in your payment policy somewhere along the line. And you have to create that. And that is where you're going to get your payments. If I'm not incorrect, that's how you get your payments. I always have option of offers on. I don't fill this stuff in. I don't schedule my listings, so I never really use this button here. And then shipping. It looks like that beta test of the price drop, the automatic price drop on stuff has gone away. Well, it isn't in this category, I guess, but so then you got shipping, right? And you can pick your shipping policy. Okay, so I have a Ground Advantage policy, a media mail policy, and an eBay standard envelope policy. These other ones don't get used. And so I usually revert to Ground Advantage policy. And you're like, well, what if you get a better price shipping at UPS? Well, you could still ship at UPS. You're shipping it any way that's cheaper for you, but with the same intended target time to reach the customer that Ground Advantage has. So if I'm going to send a Ground Advantage, I can't send it media mail because it's going to take 2 weeks and it's illegal. But if I can find a way to get it to them faster and cheaper, I can certainly pick a different I can pick this as the policy, and then when I go pick my label, just print another label for FedEx or UPS if it's going to get there sooner than the Ground Advantage policy. So the next item is the weight. Obviously, we weigh the item. Considering in the packaging we're going to have, and with clothing, it's usually just a poly mailer, so it usually never affects if it's going up or down. It's usually going to be however much the item actually weighs. And then whatever your standard envelope is for your poly mailer, you're going to put those dimensions in there. International shipping, you should set up international shipping so you can ship to people outside the U.S. Once it gets to Glen Ellen, Illinois, or Elk Grove Village, Illinois, they take over the shipping on that. So as long as you get it there in one piece, you're not going to get any returns for that. So I highly recommend doing that. This is a new thing here. I don't know when this showed up, but this is country of origin, and it automatically takes the country of origin from this country of origin space and brings it down to the bottom. I don't know if that's for the international shipping part of it or what, but that just appeared in the last couple of weeks. So sometimes you might not have a tag. If you don't have a tag, I don't know, is there an unknown? I would say USA maybe if it doesn't have a tag. So that could be a problem in the future. I haven't come across it just yet. I don't buy a lot of stuff without tags. Here's my settings for my shipping preferences. That's already set up. And then any disclosures you need to do for the UK, we don't use that. Promote your listings. Are you promoting your listings or not? I usually promote at 7%, just for the heck of it. I seem to get, I like where I'm sitting at how much I make. So, I just think of this as the cost of doing business. And then you got charity, which I don't use, and then list it, save it, or preview it. And we hit the blue button and list it. Sometimes I save it in a draft, but I usually forget. So I only have one thing in the draft status right now, and that was something that I put up and I saw a stain on it while I was putting it up. So I have the listing ready to go, but I had to wash it to see if the stain came out. And is just rarely happens, so that doesn't happen that often. I'm gonna flip through this really quick and see if I missed anything, because I actually wasn't really looking at my notes. I was just looking at the screen when I was doing it. I do offers, and I watched somebody talk about offers the other day, in that a lot of people I see on these message boards, like, should I take the offer? Should I not take the offer? It's a lowball offer. I'm offended by it. I do get offended by offers. I won't deny it. But I go one of two ways. I get that lowball offer and it seems like it's intentional. I just decline it and move on with my day. Sometimes I get a lowball offer and it seems like, well, they're trying, it's just really low. So I will give them the benefit of the doubt and I'll make an offer back to them. Now, when you, let's say it's a $30 item, they want it for $2, right? So you're like, I'm just going to make an offer to them that they can have it for $26. Excuse me. And then you send them the offer back and they do $2. That would be the end of it for me. I'm not playing this game. I don't have time in my day for that kind of garbage. But if they came back up to like $20, then maybe I message them again and see if they wanted it. But for maybe like $25 or $24. And that's about as far as I'm going. But I do take a lot of offers. I find it incredibly helpful to reach my goals for my store that I'm trying to get done. So that is everything from the front to the back on how to sell clothes or pants on eBay. The only next thing is to wait for somebody to buy it. After about 3 or 4 months, I will lower the price of the pants if they haven't sold. And I usually do so let's just say $29.99 was a pair of pants that we were looking at on the screen. So 3 months hasn't sold. I'll bring it down to $24.99 and see if it sells then. 3 more months go by, I probably bring it down to $19.99, see if it sells then. So usually it doesn't get longer than that. Although if you looked at some of my videos, excuse me, I do have stuff in the store that's over 2.5 years old, which I am rapidly trying to, figure out things to do to get rid of it or bundle up in a different way for people to buy it. But it does happen. So don't get discouraged that you have stuff that's really old. You just have to figure out, is the problem the price? Is the problem the item? A lot of the times when I get to stuff that hasn't sold for 2.5 years, I go back and I look at the actual blouse or pair of pants or whatever it is, and I'm like, I don't even know why I put that up. It's not blowing me away. And that's probably why it hasn't sold. The pictures aren't that great. Or the title stinks. Or you didn't put the word pants in the title. Or something really dumb that you forgot to do yourself. And I do it all the time. Like, oh, this blouse does not have the word blouse top. It just has shirt in there. So, it's really narrowing down the field of how people can actually find your thing. And then when it gets really old, they start to bury these things. I tend to get offers on things that are ending a lot. It seems like those things that are ending, they put out in front of customers a lot to see if they're interested in before it relists and everything. That seems to be a thing, but it could take forever for stuff like that to sell. So if you have any questions, please leave them down below. I'd love to answer them. this is the second in this how-to group of videos that I'm going to be doing. I'm going to try and do some other categories that people might be interested in. But that is going to be it from here at High Five Resale Shop today. Remember, if you find a really cool item in that thrift store or that estate sale, remember to give yourself a self high five. See you later.